Hello students, in this video lecture you will be learning about procedure for issue of shares. Firstly, we need to know the division of share capital of the company. This division is the bifurcation of share capital which is shown in the balance sheet of the company. Let us see one by one. Authorized capital. This is the maximum capital which the company can raise in its lifetime. And this is the amount of capital, amount of shares which are mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company, which is said to be the charter or constitution of the company. As this is the amount of share capital which is registered with register of companies, it is called as registered capital or nominal capital. Example, X company has registered with register of companies for 1000 shares at the rate of 100 rupees each. Then these 1000 shares at the rate of 100 rupees each is called as authorized capital. Issued capital. The part of the authorized capital which is issued to the public for their subscription is called as issued capital. Example, let us take the same example. X company has authorized to issue 1000 shares at the rate of 100 rupees each. In that, the company has issued 900 shares at the rate of 100 rupees each. So these 900 shares at the rate of 100 rupees each is called as issued capital, which is invited for public subscription. Next, coming to the subscribed capital. The issued capital may or may not be fully subscribed by the public. Subscribed capital is that part of the issued capital which has been taken off by the public, which has been subscribed by the public, and applications are received from the public, is called as subscribed capital. Example, out of 900 shares issued by X company, public has subscribed for 800 shares at the rate of 100 each. So these 800 shares at the rate of 100 rupees each is the subscribed capital or the public subscription. Next, coming to the called up capital. The company may not need to receive the entire amount on capital which is called up. It may call up only part of the subscribed capital as and when needed in installments. So the called up capital is the part of subscribed capital which the company has actually called upon to the shareholders to make their due payments. This includes the amount paid by the shareholder from time to time on application, on allotment, on first call, on second call, third call, final call, etc. The remaining part of the subscribed capital not yet called up is known as the uncalled capital. The uncalled capital may be converted into a reserve capital by passing a special resolution. So the reserve capital can be called up only in case of winding up of the company. The purpose is to meet the liabilities or the debts of the company. This reserve capital can be used. So let us take an example. Now public has subscribed for out of 1000 shares issued by the company, 1000 shares authorized by the company, they have issued 900 shares and public has subscribed for 800 shares. In that 800 shares, now the company has called for making payment of 500 shares. So these 500 shares are called as called up capital. Next, coming to the paid up capital. The called up capital may not be fully paid up. Some shareholders may pay only part of the amount required to be paid or may not pay at all. Paid up capital is the part of called up capital which is actually paid up by the shareholders. The remaining part indicates the default or due payments on calls by some of the shareholders. These are termed as calls in arrears. Thus, paid up capital is called up capital and calls in arrears. This is now company has called up for 500 shares, but the shareholders have made payment for only 400 shares. So for 400 shares which the amount has received by the company from the shareholders is called as paid up capital, and the remaining 100 shares which are called but unpaid, these represents the due amount from the shareholders. These are called as calls in arrears. So this is how the bifurcation or division is done and shown in the balance sheet of the company. Now let us see the procedure for issue of shares. First, issue of prospectus. Whenever shares are to be issued to the public, the company must issue a prospectus. Prospectus is nothing but an open invitation to the public to take up the shares of the company. Even a public company issuing the shares privately need not issue prospectus. It is required to file a statement in lieu of prospectus in addition to the prospectus issued. The prospectus contain relevant information like names of the directors, name of the company, registered address, the terms of issue, etc. It is also mentions about the opening date of the subscription list and the amount payable on application allotment and the earliest closing date of the subscription list. So this is about the prospectus and issue of prospectus. Second, application of shares. A person who is intending to subscribe to the share capital of the company has to submit an application for shares in the prescribed form to the company along with the application money before the last date of the subscription mentioned in the prospectus. This may be oversubscription or undersubscription. What is this? Oversubscription is that if the number of shares applied for is more than the number of shares offered to the public, then this is called as oversubscription. The other case, undersubscription is if the number of shares applied for is less than the number of shares offered to the public. This is called as undersubscription. Next, coming to allotment of shares. Once the applications are received from the public, then the company must make allotment. So, after the last date of the receipt of the application, the directors and the authorized persons of the company will proceed with allotment work. However, a company cannot allot the shares unless the minimum subscription amount which is mentioned in the prospectus is collected within the stipulated period of time. The directors pass a special resolution in the board meeting for allotment of shares, indicating clearly the class and number of shares allotted with the distinctive numbers. Then letters of allotment will be sent to the concerned applicants. Letters of regret are sent to those who are not allotted or who are not permitted, and any shares and application money is refunded to those persons whose applications have been rejected or regretted. Partial allotment. In partial allotment, the company rejects some application totally. It refunds their application money and allots the shares to the remaining applicants. Whereas in pro rata allotment, when the company takes pro rata allotment, it allots shares to all applicants, but by allotting lesser shares than applied. Like example, if a person has applied for 300 shares, he may get only 200 shares. This is called as pro rata allotment. Next, coming to calls on shares. The remaining amount of shares may be collected in installments as laid down in the prospectus. Such installments are called as shares, calls on shares. They may be termed as allotment amount, first call amount, second call amount, third call amount, etc. Calls in arrears. Some shareholders may not pay the money due from public. The outstanding amounts are transferred to an account called up as calls in arrears. The balance of calls in arrears account is deducted from the called up capital in the balance sheet. Calls in advance. According to the Companies Act, a company may, if so authorized by its articles, will accept from a shareholder either the whole or part of the amount remaining unpaid on any of the shares held by them. This is called as calls in advance. But we should remember that no dividend will be paid on such calls in advance. However, the interest has to be paid by the company on calls in advance. So students, this is how the share capital is divided and represented in the balance sheet of the company, and how or what is the procedure followed for issue of shares. Hope you might have got thorough knowledge on representing shares in balance sheet of the company and procedure for issue of shares. In upcoming sessions, we will be learning in practical what should be done, what is the recording procedure done in the books of accounts of the company. Thank you.